Klein.
Here.
Board Member Thorne.
Here.
Board Member Steve.
Here.
Board Member Van Barcom.
Here.
Supervisor Allen.
Here. Entertain a motion for the approval of previous town board meeting minutes.
I make that motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Supervised financial report, August 2020, revenues, police fees $45, medical insurance reimbursement $190.22, ambulance fees $14,040.44, town clerk fees, Easy Pass Conservation $92.50, cell tower, doctor's office rental $2,373, justice fees $6,217, building permit fees, $3,253. Dog licenses, $59. Ulster County interest, $326.36. Planning fees, $300. Miscellaneous revenue, unclassified revenue, $83.32. Registrar fees, $230. Refuse and garbage, $235.20. Phoenicia water rents, $13,000. Pine Hill water rents, $9,000. Highway, $25, for a total of $50,397.77. Communications. Month of September 2020, Shandaken Septic District. Just to give an update and some information on next month's meeting regarding the septic maintenance district in Shandaken. Work has been completed on 24 of the approximately 52 systems within the district. This work has all been paid through the block grant provided by the New York City DEP through CWC. By next month, we hope to transfer funds from the remaining block grant to the district, and we'll be creating a budget to move forward with work proposed for next spring on 4 remote sites, as well as start on general maintenance of the district moving forward. In order to do so, we will be contracting with Lamont Engineering and Young & Summer for the construction oversight and legal work necessary to complete the work and assist in contracting for future maintenance. The septic maintenance district will be a new page for the town budget, but will not include any revenue from taxes to support the district, as we will have enough money in the block grant to continue maintenance well into the future of the district. Sorry. Eyes are burning. Police and Justice. We have a resolution tonight to appoint a police reform and reinvention collaborative. This collaborative is mandated under an executive order from Governor Cuomo for our community to look at the current status of policing activities and oversight of officers within our town of Shandaken Police Department. The group will consist of town police and justice personnel, as well as several citizens who have shown an interest. As soon as the collaborative decides on meeting dates and times, we will post them accordingly. The collaborative under the executive order is to derive a plan which will include a public hearing once in draft form and must be submitted to the town board for adoption prior to April 1st of 2021. Creation and adoption of this plan allows us to continue to apply for grant funding opportunities essential for the continuing operation of our police department. Planning Board. The Planning Board has recently been presented with a number of projects that may require in-depth environmental reviews. They have asked to utilize services offered by the town engineering firm of Malone & McBroom, who has and still is working with us on multiple other projects throughout the town. The resolution tonight simply allows us to enter into an addendum agreement to provide the Planning Board the services from their environmental review office. Miscellaneous, we have a resolution to accept bids for new picnic tables throughout all of our town parks, which have fallen into serious disrepair. We also have our annual resolution requesting the campaign signage for the fall election not be displayed until after Columbus Day. Again, this resolution is simply a request, but it is not a requirement of law. Additionally, and with the board's permission, I would like to add a resolution which was brought to my attention earlier regarding the purchase of a vehicle for the highway department. They are in need of a vehicle to help them cleaning out culverts throughout the town and are seeking to purchase a 1992 International fire truck from the Phoenicia Fire District for $12,000, which is well within the budget for this fiscal year. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 5th at 7 p.m. Joyce?
No word yet from the county of when we'll get the DMV bus back. That was the most asked question all during COVID. The whole thing, when's the DMV bus back? Well, they have no clue, and they haven't told us, and I will send out an alert when it's coming. This Saturday at the Phoenicia Fishing Game, there's going to be the outdoor yard sale on September 19th. Call Tammy or stop by the store in Phoenicia if you want to set up a table, 914-338-1065. The mobile vet van will be here Saturday, October 10th. Shots are at 9 o'clock, and then they have surgeries throughout the day. And if you're a Shandaken resident, you can get a $25 spay or neuter certificate from the clerk's office. And last but not least, please do the census. The census is going to be due, I think, in October. That's it. So if you don't go online, you can call 844-330-2020 and do it over the phone. And that's it.
I have something to add.
Yes.
The Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is giving out grants up to $2,500 for any business to use for protective equipment, PPE equipment. So just contact me through email, facestormsrealtor@gmail.com, and I'll hook you up with your application. It's a totally free-to-you program. Any business in Shandaken can apply. And if you've already paid for your equipment or your shields or your cleaners or anything that you have to do with PPE, we will reimburse you up to $2,500 per business.
How about churches? Like the food pantry?
It could be, it's really basically,
Nonprofit, or does that
yeah,
be-
we have to make sure that everything's kosher,
Oh, yeah.
but
Can't
it's,
trust the church.
it's all about protecting people with the COVID.
How about the
So,
town hall? We're still waiting for
just
wipes.
apply, just
We're
apply.
still waiting for wipes. They were lost off the truck from FedEx. So they were supposed to be here 3
Yeah,
weeks
well, the
ago.
money's there, we have the money to do it, so,
I'll check
yeah.
into it.
With that, we'll move on to communications. We have two presenters tonight, actually. First, we'll start with Brent and Melissa. What's that? Melinda, I'm sorry. I knew I had that wrong, too. I was like, concerning climate smart communities. We're just going to head down to the seats so they can show their presentation on the board here.
Don't want to blind you either. Oh, okay, yeah, as soon as I get it up, I'm just gonna walk over there.
So how's everybody doing tonight? Starting to feel a little fall finally. We're good. I'm Melinda Herzog. I work for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County. My colleague, Brett, you know him already. Thank you. Yes. So we're here today because we worked on a project that's funded by the New York State DEC, the Hudson River Estuary Program, and also the New York State Water Resource Institute on climate smart communities on adaptations for climate resiliency with the town of Shandaken. So again, it's called Climate Smart Resiliency Planning, and it's about really taking a look at a lot of the planning that's already being done in the town and identifying strengths and opportunities for increasing resilience in planning. So again, our program is supported by the New York State DEC Hudson River Estuary Program and the New York State Water Resource Institute. It's part of a much larger project, actually. It's actually also in 5 other counties. This is part of a partnership that we have with Cornell Cooperative Extension and DEC and Water Resource Institute. So this has been going on since 2012. And it's a combination of research, demonstration, educational outreach projects. We address flooding, stream and watershed management, and climate change. So our focus in 2020 was on a lot of adaptation actions. It included road stream crossing inventories, reviewing town codes and plans, which is what we basically did here, and also doing climate visioning in some communities, and flood preparedness guides we've done for others, as well as climate assessments, where we'll actually look at everything that the town or the municipality may have accomplished that could count towards points in New York State's Climate Smart Communities program. So, in our program, in our 5-county program, which includes Dutchess County, it includes Rockland County, includes Columbia Green, and it also includes Rensselaer. We've worked with 2 communities this year on the road stream crossings, 9 communities through the Climate Smart tool, which is what we worked with Shandaken with, and also 5 other communities with assessments, and 2 communities on flood preparedness guides, as well as 2 others on climate resilience visioning. I'm only telling you this because we can do more for you. So that's why I wanted to share that. So, the tool is what we worked on, and this is basically how it starts. So it's a checklist that we go through of documents that the town already has. We look to see, you've got your comprehensive plan, do you have an open space plan, do you have a natural resource plan? And then we start looking through those plans for specific references to climate resilience. So I just want to mention that completing the tool is also worth 6 points in the Climate Smart Communities program. So what is that, and why is that important? So once you're a climate smart community, you can get a lot of benefits from the state, and that includes technical assistance, it includes a lot of guidance, and the points that you accrue basically get you a designation as a bronze, silver, or gold community. And the idea being that the more points you have, the more accessible a lot of grants to assist in some of the projects you want to do in the community become available to you. So the points are important to getting funding. So what we are working on out of the Climate Smart Community Program is really PEC Action 7, and that is the adaptation basically section of Climate Smart Communities, and that means that you're adapting to some things like flooding, you're adapting to storms, and this community's been doing a lot of work on that already. So we've been going through that process and doing a literature review, and we also met with a lot of town folks, and building codes, and also with highway. I think I was going to say transportation, but I think it was highway. So we met with highways, and you're basically building inspector and town codes person, and a couple of other people to review this. Got a lot of help from a lot of town officials. So this is kind of a picture of the way that goes by the communities. We typically get the chance to sit around, in offices and chat and talk. We did most of this online this year, and thank you for, accommodating that. But we were able to do several interviews with a lot of the town personnel to complete the tool, as well as a desk review, which is really a lot of reading through all the documents and discovering where the strengths are and where the opportunities are. So once we're done, we developed this multi-page tool that's 6 sections long that identifies these strengths and gaps. And these are the sections that it covers. So the first section I talked about, the community plan checklist. The next section really looks on risk and vulnerability assessments. And then we look to see what kinds of public outreach and engagement the municipality is doing to reach out to you on disaster preparedness and on other strategies for adaptation. And then there's a planning integration section, disaster preparedness and recovery, and hazard mitigation implementation. So that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Brent, because while I oversee this project, he really works on the nuts and bolts of it. So he spent a lot of time reviewing all this, and he put together this tool, so I'm going to let him take over and share with you what he's discovered.
Great, thank you, Melinda.
Yeah,
So-
I'm done.
No problem, I'll step over here along the way.
Yeah.
So as Melinda said, we're going to talk about each one of those 5 sections in a little more detail, but first I'm going to go over some of the strengths that we identified that the town had, and then the following slide talk about some of the opportunities. And there's a significant amount of strengths that the town has. I should also mention that what we're going to go over here tonight is basically just the highlights. We have a document that we gave to the town board members. I think we even have a couple extra ones up here if people want it. of all the recommendations that we offered to the town that we determined when we went through this project. So in regards to strengths, the town of Shandaken participates in the National Flood Insurance Program, which allows its town residents to purchase relatively low-cost flood insurance. I say relatively because we all know that flood insurance rates are going up every year, but it's still probably the most affordable flood insurance on the market right now, as it stands. They track repetitive loss properties, and in addition to that, they have a repetitive loss area analysis. So the town really has a good feel for where some of these problem areas are and some of these structures that are continuously getting damaged, particularly during flooding events. The town has an updated comprehensive flood mitigation plan. It also goes above and beyond minimum federal and state regulations for floodplain management. Just as an example of that, you have a cumulative substantial improvement ordinance, which I don't know of too many other municipalities that have something like that. So the town has been really proactive in managing your floodplains. It also is preparing to enter into community rating system. In fact, myself and Aaron earlier today had a phone call about that. So the town it's imminent, it's getting there, which is going to be a great system to get into. Because what the community rating system does, once the town enters into it and is approved, it'll be able to get all town residents who have flood insurance policies a reduction in their flood insurance rates. And here in Shandaken, I don't think we know just quite yet what that reduction will be, but between 5 and 15% is most likely what it will be, which is significant for some folks. And then finally, as Melinda mentioned earlier, the town's a climate smart community and all the benefits that are associated with that. Some areas of opportunity the town can engage in. The town can seek out training opportunities for municipal staff in areas of resilience, particularly in the area of flood mitigation. Now, a lot of the town officials are doing this already. Many folks who I know in this room are going to the New York State Floodplain and Stormwater Managers Annual Conference. They're participating in other workshops related to flood mitigation. But there's other ways to get that education as well. Local workshops, state workshops. I'm a big advocate of folks going to the FEMA's Emergency Management Institute. They have both on campus, at a campus down in Maryland you can go to. And they also have online courses too. So I understand folks don't really want to travel. In fact, the campus isn't open right now. But there's online opportunities to get that additional education. We also recommend that they participate in a Nature Conservancy Community Resilience Building Workshop. And this is a workshop, it's a little bit similar to the tool, but it's more detailed. Essentially what happens here is you have facilitators from the Nature Conservancy, and they have partners in the community. Cooperative Extension is one of them that helps facilitate these workshops. We just take a slice of the demographics of the community, invite people from the business sector, environmental organizations, municipal officials, regular town residents. And invite them to sit down in a room and identify assets and resources available to the town, and really sketch out and plan, how do you want to preserve and protect those assets and to maximize them for the benefit of the town. And then when it's all done, the Nature Conservancy facilitators will take that information, they'll package that into a document, they'll return it to the town. It's basically a roadmap on how to achieve a lot of those goals and objectives. And we, again, Linda and I have helped facilitate this in Saugerties earlier, last year I should say. And I think a lot of good came out of it. So I know it's tough this year with social distancing and whatnot. I don't know if we're really doing it online, but there's opportunities either next year or the year after to do this with the Nature Conservancy. And then finally, we mentioned before, you can leverage the Climate Smart Resiliency Planning tool for full system. So now we'll go into a little more detail in each of those 5 sections we mentioned earlier, the first being vulnerability and risk assessment. Our first recommendation is to conduct a full vulnerability assessment. And essentially what this is, this just analyzes information in the town to look for what your true climate vulnerabilities are. Now, my guess is probably the biggest one is going to be flooding. That's the one that's the town's experienced in the past. And for the near and foreseeable future, it's probably the biggest issue you face. Whoops, whoops, sorry guys. Hit the wrong button. Get back to my spot. There we go. So essentially what this does is just helps identify other areas of vulnerability. That can include drought, that's the flip side of flooding, and we're going to be experiencing alternating floods and droughts as time goes on with climate change, and just really figuring out what those vulnerabilities are so we can help mitigate them for the future. Training municipal managers on the use of available risk and vulnerability of tools, and I call out FEMA's HAZUS MH, that's a geographic information system software that folks who are probably in the building department, but other officials potentially, could use to calculate damages after a natural disaster. And there's other tools out there you can get trained on. And I also recommend creating a build-out analysis for the town based on current zoning and then overlay that with risk areas such as the FEMA Special Flood Hazard Area. We worked in several municipalities, New Paltz and Saugerties being a couple examples that have done build-out analysis. And that's just taking the current zoning on the town and doing kind of an exercise to see, based on current zoning, if we were to develop everything tomorrow, what would the town look like? And that's an important, exercise in and of itself. But if you take that one step further and then overlay that with risk areas, you can see, well, maybe there's an opportunity, or maybe there's a reason for us to change our zoning. Maybe there's a hazard area that happens to be zoned for high density development, let's say, for example. Those two aren't really compatible, so you might want to, change zoning for that area. The next category is public outreach and engagement. And our recommendation for this is to inform residents about available disaster resources through multiple methods, including, municipal website, TV, radio, social media. And you're doing a good job of this right now, but I'd recommend taking this one step further, particularly with your website, including some information about links to FEMA's Are You Ready Guide, ASPCA's Disaster Preparedness Guide for Domesticated Animals, FEMA's Guide to Retrofitting. There's a whole host of links you can easily add to your website, to your social media accounts, that can help people prepare for disasters. And that gets you some points too. We also recommend you publicize the availability of floodplain information to folks in the real estate community. And there's ways to do that on your website or again through social media. But as luck would have it, myself and my colleague Aaron Bennett twice a year do a floodplain management for real estate professionals course. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we had to cancel the in-person classes this year. But hopefully next year we'll be able to start those up again. Contact the Ulster County Board of Realtors for dates on that. I believe Faye, you've contacted a couple times, right?
Yeah, I went with him.
Yeah, but so it's free of charge, at least for folks who are members of the Board of Realtors, and I think there's a lot of good information with it. The next one is consider developing a public outreach plan focused on climate outreach and engagement. And this is really just an opportunity for the town to get creative and be unique, essentially, in how they engage the public and engage the residents on how they're educating them about climate change and climate resiliency. So it could be something as simple as saying, we're going to have a booth or a table at a local community fair or festival like Shandaken Day, talking about the climate smart resiliency planning tool or assessment or the documents or plans that you have. You can take it a step further and say, maybe we want to do something a little more artistic, perhaps. Create a kiosk with a high water mark, near Esopus Creek to say, this is how high the water got during Hurricane Irene. And then maybe even have another mark saying based on projected precipitation patterns, it might be this much higher in the next 100-year storm, 50 years from now. Some communities have done things like that, and again, it's just a great way to engage the public and get them thinking about topics of resiliency. Next category is integration of municipal plans. We recommend that when the town goes to update its comprehensive plan, they include sustainability elements within it, and really put that front and center in your mission statement, in your vision statement, in your goals and objectives section. Talk about how you envision the town being more sustainable, being more resilient. Let people know that this is a concern for the town. It's not just like an afterthought. And again, you can get some significant points for doing that. We also recommend creating a local waterfront revitalization plan, or LWRP, for the community. I know a lot of folks, when I've offered this recommendation, they say, "Oh, we're not eligible. That's only for Hudson River communities." That's actually not true. There's quite a few inland waterways that are eligible for LWRP funding. Esopus Creek being one of them, and you can get funding from the New York State Department of State to do this. I'm just kind of thinking, I know the town's starting to get acquiring more properties in the floodplain. I'm thinking about the old Rockland Cottages parcel. We're thinking about maybe making a municipal park there. There may be an opportunity to do some planning, see if there's a way to get boat launches or stream access. There's opportunities there to really think about waterfront development that could enhance tourism, recreational opportunities. Kind of a win-win for everybody, in my opinion. And then the final one in this slide is to create what's essentially known as a green economic development plan. And there's a lot that can go into it. For this particular slide, I'm focused more on the infrastructure aspect of it. And take into consideration when you want to upgrade roads, bridges, culverts, or road stream crossings, other forms of infrastructure, how climate change might affect that. Would you have to allocate more money as time goes on to account for shorter lifespan of some of that infrastructure. The next category is disaster preparedness and recovery. Recommend creating a long-term recovery plan. And I know there's probably elements of that in existing plans and existing protocols that the town has. Really solidify in one document, identify what municipal officials are supposed to do after a disaster, as well as other agencies, other departments, and talk about how do we get the town back to normalcy as quickly as possible after a flood or any other natural disaster. Next one is to create a heat emergency plan. And this is really just to identify areas where there's cooling centers in the town or potential for cooling centers. As climate change goes on, we're getting more of these higher degree heat days, these heat waves, and identify those vulnerable populations, the elderly, the very young, those with disabilities, and think about ways to get them to those cooling centers so they can deal with those higher humidity, hot days. Have the town participate in FEMA's Community Emergency Response Team that helps you prepare for natural disasters, and just inform the public about the New York Alert program. It's something you sign up for. You can do it online very easily. You get email alerts about flood warnings, tornado warnings, any sort of natural disaster, even major accidents on the road. It gives you this information in relatively real time about stuff that's going on. And then finally, the hazard mitigation implementation section. We recommend you support land acquisition measures, which you're doing now in a lot of ways with New York City funded buyout program, other sorts of buyout programs. And then while you're acquiring that property, keeping it open space, that's a great thing, but also taking it maybe one step further, thinking about restoring it to a more natural state. Restoring the floodplains, riparian areas. For example, there's invasive species, including invasive species. You can engage with my program, the Shandaken Watershed Stream Management Program. That's what's called the Catskill Streams Buffer Initiative. And we can provide you with technical experience and expertise, as well as 3 native riparian plants that could revegetate that, those riparian areas. Helps with reducing erosion, helps with reducing flood flow velocities, helps with ecological integrity. It's a really great program, again, free of charge. So if you're acquiring these riparian areas, think about doing those types of actions. And it can get you some points too. I know probably a lot of the highway department has in the past, maybe not recently, attended the New York State DEC post-flood stream intervention trainings. And again, this is just a good opportunity to get highway department personnel aware of what to do after a flood when you have these these big high flows that blow out the bridges, blow out the culverts. How do you put those back quickly while still protecting the stream, making sure the channel dimensions and widths are correct, and doing right by the stream as well as the infrastructure. Whoops. Sorry. Well, anyway. So and then finally, consider using federal programs and. It's great. My point is this: you do not have to dip out of your own coffers to do this. You could get, use federal programs like the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, the Flood Mitigation Assistance Program, as well as a new grant program called the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Program. So you don't have to, levy taxes or dip into your general fund to do this. You can get funding from outside agencies and outside organizations. So sorry about I'm not sure what happened there, it got small, but that's really all I have. I'll turn it back to Melinda for a second if she has any closing words. If not, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody tonight for hearing us, and thank you for the officials who helped us put this together.
And I would just also want to say thank you again to, especially to everybody, all the town officials that sit in our meetings with us, appreciate your time, and, we'd like to take this further if the opportunity arises and you want further assistance in either, looking at some of the things you've done to get more points in a climate smart communities program. We can work with you to do an assessment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tara told me to say hi.
What's that?
Tara told me to say hi.
Tara? Oh, okay, sure. Want an extension?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure.
This chair.
Thank you, guys. Just let Brent wrap up.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'll do a minute, I promise.
Okay.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Thank you. Brent called him out. I might as well call him up now. Aaron's not here in his capacity from the Office of the Environment or from the Shandaken Watershed Stream Management Program. He's actually here tonight representing Mountain Valley Little League. So I'll let Aaron explain what they're proposing, which I don't think is a big issue. Just want the town to be aware of it. You can do it right from there.
Yeah, thank you all. As Rob said, Aaron Bennett with Vice President for Mountain Valley Little League. And so, as you're probably aware, we didn't have a baseball season this spring because of the pandemic. So what we're trying to do, typically for the summer baseball season, that Shandaken that you all supported for the last 3 or 4 years. But what we've decided to do is, now that we've progressed into the fall, Little League has helped put some guidance in place to offer a season it's not really a season, but just an opportunity really for kids to play baseball. And so what Mountain Valley Little League has decided to do is approach the town of Olive to use Grant Avery Park as a location for this, for these Saturday games at the coach pitch and kid pitch level. We're hoping to get 2 teams at each level just to have the kids play baseball. So Little League has had guidance about equipment and sharing all that. What I sent to Rob was really for some of our COVID-19 plans in order to have the kids play safely. So, as I said, Grand Avery Park, because it's centrally located within the school district and the community, we're trying to get approval from the town of Olive, actually tonight or tomorrow night for that. And what I want to do is see if Glenbrook would be a backup to that if Olive doesn't work out. Also, Grand Avery Park is being used by Mountain Valley Flag Football on Saturdays, so there may be some overlap there, which we think we can work around, but just in case, I'm hoping to get, your blessing really to be able to use Glenbrook as we always have during the regular season, but use it on Saturdays, the last maybe 2 Saturdays in September and then 3 or 4 in October if the weather holds, just to have an opportunity for kids to play. So we have a plan in place. It's on our website, mountainvalleybaseball.org. I also email it to Rob. I don't know if you've all seen it yet, but the big thing would be spectators, of course. And so masks are going to be required anytime spectators are moving around. They'll be socially distanced along outside the fence, 6 feet apart, families, together. Anytime they're going to the bathroom, they need the mask anytime. As soon as they get out of the car, masks are required. No concession stands, bleachers are roped off, they have to bring their own chairs.
You feel confident that the kids could play and be safe?
Yeah. I mean, some leagues actually did it back in the summer.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we do. They're going to be encouraged to bring their own equipment.
Yep.
We have equipment as well. I think we have enough batting helmets. I know we have enough batting helmets for kids that they can just
Right.
sort of loan it for the season. I keep saying season. It's really a couple weeks, but that they can keep it. And anytime they're sharing bats, disinfected. The coach will be right there.
Right.
Minimize 3 coaches per team. Socially distance in the dugout. And we may use those bleachers outside. There's not enough room in the dugout,
Right.
So then
Right.
that'll be the other area. So yeah, there's been success in leagues doing it. So we think we just want to give it a shot. There's no cost; it's going to be free.
Yep.
Just to get the kids doing something outside. So that's really what it's all about. I think if there's anything else with one person in the bathroom at a time. Bathrooms, if we had to use Glenbrook,
Right.
we'll coordinate the sanitation of that.
Right.
Afterwards and prior to.
Okay.
Yeah, coaches always have to have masks on, umpire masks on.
Yep.
So, really like to be able to say that Glenbrook would be an option for the league if Grand Area doesn't pan out. So.
Yeah, again, I wanted Aaron to come here and explain it in person, just because, again, some people may have concerns, and just so to make sure we're being clear about it. Again, we were successful in operating a summer rec camp this year. I did offer Aaron the use of one of our hands-off thermometers for the kids, so they can scan them for the temperatures when they come in and so on, for their use. And we hope we can pull it off. I just want to make sure the board was okay with usage of the park. And again, just for the kids to have something. Nobody makes any money on this, so this is really just about the kids playing some baseball.
Let's do something before winter sets in.
Yeah, for sure.
The understanding, we understand that if you're using Glenbrook and there's complaints and things, people aren't following the rules, it's going to be a headache for you guys. We get shut down. We understand that. That's the agreement that we would have, and we feel the board would be policing the field and making sure if you see something, we ask them to put a mask on or that kind of thing. So we pledge to be on top of that. When the registration parents sign up, click through and there's a pledge that they would, that spells all this out, and they have to, agree to.
Yep,
So,
How are you gonna handle the bathrooms?
how,
one at a time.
How are you gonna handle the cleaning of the bathrooms in between people, or how are you gonna handle that?
yeah, I don't know about, I wouldn't necessarily say plan to do it in between people. I don't know if that's typical. It would just be before, just coordinate with the town if we do use it. It's, it's just one person at a time, and then after we're done, in Grand Avery, the town cleans that. And however they handle that, I don't know. We can, if we do use Glenbrook, whatever, we'll accommodate whatever you're.
Yeah, to be cleaning before and a cleaning after the use.
Yeah, but, hand sanitizer will be.
Wipes and hand
will be
sanitizer
there,
and-
Right.
Masks for people that don't have them. But yeah, put on the mask, go to the bathroom, wash their hands, and, that would be a game in the morning and a game in the early afternoon. But yeah, if there's anything that wasn't in there that you feel should be in there, we'll put it in. We want to make it work,
Okay.
whatever we need to do.
Thank you, Aaron. I just want to make sure so the board is, we don't really need a vote on it, but,
I make a motion, we allow it.
okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Great,
There you
thank
go.
you all.
Good luck, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
With that, we will move on to committee reports. Chief Mullerline.
Good evening. The August 2020 report for Town Shandaken Ambulance, total calls received was 31. Mutual aid was given twice, and we did not receive any mutual aid. The month of August ushered in a relative return to normalcy in regards to the number of emergency calls, as well as the return to activities and details that were otherwise delayed secondary to the pandemic for the ambulance service. Employee activities such as negotiations committee, equipment committee, and vehicle replacement committee have all kicked back into high gear. Of course, taking into account social distancing and precautions to protect our fellow responders and public alike. Expect to see much advancement in our capabilities secondary to many of these tasks being fulfilled. The best news, we have had 0 calls involving individuals that potentially had the COVID-19 virus in the past month in town. One bit of troubling news, however, that goes along with our increased call volume is that we have seen an incredible uptick in our mountain rescues as of late. As it is wonderful to see so many people out enjoying the peaks and trails that we have here in Shandaken, many embark on such treks woefully unprepared. Lately, it seems that every weekend we find ourselves as EMS, along with our many other emergency services partners, hiking miles into the woods to locate injured or lost hikers, many of whom have very little business being where they are resting. For those that have not followed, are unaware of our local history, are visitors, or are new to the area, we do not have unlimited and dispensable resources. When this happens, it quite literally binds up 4 or more local volunteer fire departments, the only ambulance service available for approximately 120 square miles, multiple police agencies, DEC rangers, and several other very finite resources up to and including state police aviation and medevac units for hours. The latest call just this past weekend took approximately 8 hours, and an incident last weekend took about the same amount of time. When you make a poor decision, others in town are potentially unable to receive help when we are committed to that poor decision. On top of the tens of thousands of dollars in expenditure for manpower and equipment to remedy your kerfuffle that is quite literally on the taxpayer's shoulders. If you are not experienced or prepared for the worst, rethink your weekend plans to hike some of the most challenging terrain in New York State. Come prepared, research the terrain, understand your physical limits, have the right gear and nourishment, have a worst case scenario plan, and if you are in doubt, do not enter the trails. We commend your desire to trek our forever wild peaks. However, do so diligently, considering our finite resources. That decision alone may save a life or even your own. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Building and zoning, Mr. McGowan.
Okay, the report for August was 22 building permits issued, 2 floodplain permits, did 40 inspections on site, issued 3 certificates of occupancy and 3 certificates of compliance. And the income for the department for the month was $4,780. So the other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, I don't know if all the board members got this, the increase in fees that I'm proposing for the building department. I think it's been many, many years since there's been an increase, and what was kind of surprising to us was that people were calling, realtors were calling for municipal searches, and they would laugh when we told them it was $25, because in other towns they're spending hundreds of dollars for this service. And that's the most frequent call we get, is from realtors requesting research on properties throughout the town. So I went through our previous list of what our fee structure, and I added a small percentage to all of them. In some cases, it's like $25. For now, I'm proposing that for the municipal search, we charge $75, which is comparable to what Olive, Woodstock, and local communities charge. And changing the structure for building permits to a square foot rate rather than a lot of people do the work themselves. They come in and say, well, what's the job going to cost? And they say, well, $1,000, and I know it's going to cost 5 times that much. So this seems like a more uniform way. People come in and putting up a 24 by 24 garage. It's a square foot price, and I think I computed it reasonably with what our structure is now, and it's about maybe a 10 or 15% increase in cost, depending. And so if you look down the list, we charge $25 for a certificate of occupancy. I want to raise that to 50. That seems like more reasonable. The houses that are building today are costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. These fees are very minuscule in comparison. So I would like the board to take a look at it, and I spoke with the planning board the other night, and it was approved unanimously. And so I think we should do this and maybe bring a little bit more income into the town and pay for some of the services that we're giving away for free almost now.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah, last I knew was you were going to bring it before the planning board, but they voted.
They voted for, unanimously voted for.
Very good. Thank you.
I get confident.
Yeah, I carried that the lead word for that, so I think
More motion on that?
Do we need a
We're not
public,
adopting it yet. We're planning for a resolution for next month. So,
we wouldn't need a public hearing for it?
no, it's not a law. You're just changing the fee schedule.
All right.
No fees in the law.
With that, we'll move on to police.
So we handled 286 calls for service and 3 arrests per month. Just real quick about the Justice Reform Commission. Once you adopt the resolution, tomorrow, the next day, I'll put together an email group with everybody on it and see what night or day works better to start meeting. And then obviously, once I get that information, I'll pass it on to Joyce, and she could post it so we could get moving on this commission before April 2021.
Very good.
The 150 property checks, what is that all about?
That's us jiggling business doors and checking people's houses when they ask us to.
You're getting that amount of calls in 1 month?
Well, no, it's proactive police work. It's walking in Main Street in Phoenicia at night, checking business doors.
Oh,
They
you
create an
actually
entry saying,
are-
hey, we checked this door, it's good. Or when people go on vacation, they ask us to check on their house once in a while, so security checks.
Okay.
That's it.
Good.
Thanks.
Nisha Water, see Mr. Rick or Alfred. I don't think there's anything to report. I know the bills went out. Same with Pine Hill. Museum,
The records report for the Shandaken Museum. The museum had 58 visitors this month, and we continue to follow the New York State guidelines for the COVID-19 pandemic. We continue to post on the Facebook group page. You knew you grew up in Shandaken, and now, thanks to yours truly, we can post on the town's Facebook page as well. This has been successful in reaching more potential visitors. People are sending postcards and photos as well as requests for searches of people and properties. The more people we reach, the more research is requested. We are hopeful that the outbreaks of COVID-19 will soon come to an end, possibly with a vaccine, and we can all resume living our lives without worry. You and me both, Kathleen. That's it.
thank you.
So yeah, she's really picked up on that Facebook page, so if everybody would go in and like their page as well. I've done the link a few times, but there's some fabulous stuff at that museum. So if you get a chance, you should go see it on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, 10 to 4.
Recreation,
Yeah. So we have a pretty decent group of volunteers put together to kind of revamp the dog park over at Glenbrook. So that should be moving along fairly soon. And it looks like we'll be putting in some new equipment after Columbus Day, I think we talked about, once everything slows down a little bit. And we're getting new picnic tables hopefully, so things are looking good.
very good. With that, we'll also, Brent kind of beat us to the punch on that, mentioning about Mount Tremper. So the idea is down by Mount Tremper where the new bridge is being put in place, where the cottages used to be. When that project's all done, you have an open area that may be viable, or will be viable for a new town park on that corner there for Mount Tremper to finally get its own town park. It is one of the few hamlets that doesn't have a park in its neighborhood. So what we'd like to do is get some residents together or get some input from people throughout the town and see what kind of amenities we would like to offer at a new town park were it to be built. No, it's a pretty level area there. Of course, we did have discussion of swimming, which would probably be a no-go for the town because of liability issues, but certainly public fishing access could be considered. And really, sky's the limit as far as what the possibilities are for activities. I mean, when we were on the site visit, we were talking, a pump bike trail, we were talking a bocce, all over the place, like all sorts of things.
Brent's really into that boat launch idea.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, Brent's pushing the boat launch. So again, just if people are interested or just want to have some input or some ideas, again, what we try to do is we try to offer different things at different parks, so it kind of makes people go around the town to the different parks if they want to do a specific activity, and it spreads them around a little bit more throughout the town. So again, if you're interested, give us a call, give us an email, and it's something that we need to start planning for now, because hopefully they'll be all wrapped up by the end of spring next year.
Will it be a pavilion?
Could be.
It still is in the flood zone, right? So
Yeah.
we talked about doing like a bandstand, something like that, similar to.
Something that's
Big
flood
Indian.
resilient that we can put
Yeah.
there, because it will be in
It's
flood.
a beautiful
And
location.
the view you get down there of Mount Tremper is gorgeous.
It's amazing down there, yeah. Charging stations?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm talking
They do make
infrastructure.
flood resilient pavilions, don't they?
Well, it would just be a pad with stanchions that you put like sails on, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay, Shandaken Septic, I think I gave the update at the beginning of the meeting on that. We will have some more information next month. And with that, we'll move on to public comments on resolutions. If there's no public comments, as I mentioned at the open, I'd like to add, we'll make it resolution number 86, Joyce.
Yeah.
Purchase of a fire truck from Phoenicia Fire District for the purchase price of $12,000 for use by the Town of Shandaken Highway Department,
And what is it used for?
cleaning out culverts.
We had one years ago, and it just, It was old and shot, and we just got rid of it and never replaced it.
So it's like a
Good
blower?
opportunity for a decent truck that's in good shape.
Oh, it's like a pressure water system from the fire truck?
Yeah, from fire truck,
Got
yeah.
it.
High
Okay.
pressure.
Right.
And I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session towards the end of the meeting, right before the end of the meeting, just to discuss some payroll issues.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll
well,
second.
first we have to do the vote on the fire truck.
Yeah,
Do I have a second?
I second.
What was it? I'm
All in
sorry.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
You want me to write that as a resolution or just do
We'll
one?
Yeah, I
write
thought you
it
were
as a
doing it as a resolution.
86, we'll make it number
Yeah,
86 to
okay.
take on you.
Alright.
And Peter's put a motion on the floor to go to executive session for payroll, personnel matter.
Now, second it?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. So after our regular, we will close, go to executive, so we can wrap up at least regular business, and then we'll come out.
Yeah.
With that, we'll move on to resolutions.
So we should start.
We should start.
We just start down here and come up and around.
Yeah, you can do it. Start with Fay.
Resolution 81-20, resolution to pay all bills, whereas the Department of Audit and Control require town boards to sign and inspect all vouchers coming into the town for payment, to number and total payments for each fund. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board authorize the following vouchers paid. General, $75,455.43. Highway, $169,114.82. Benicia Water, $4,685.70. Pine Hill Water, $2,426.34. Benicia Lights, $894.67. Chichester Lights, $143.64. Pine Hill Lights, $520.08, for a total of $253,240.68, and I move its adoption.
Second?
Board Member Disco.
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Storr?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blark?
Yes.
Supervisor Sam?
Yes.
Resolution 8220, accept bids for park picnic tables. Whereas pursuant to town board resolution, the town of Shandaken Town Board advertised for bids for 10 8-foot all-weather picnic tables for various parks in Shandaken. Whereas bids clearly marked on envelope picnic tables bid were received at the town clerk's office, Shandaken Town Hall, 7209 Route 28, P.O. Box 67, Shandaken, New York, 12480, no later than 3 p.m. on Monday, September 14th, 2020. All submissions would be certified by the town clerk as received by that time, and the town board reserves the right to reject any or all bids. Therefore, be it resolved that the following bids were received and accepted as qualified bidders.
Okay, we have 4. First one's from American Recreational Products. The address and everything posted. Ronkonkoma, New York. Come on. Since 3. $6,786. And then he has, what does that say? This is, here, one of those back. So
I
it's 2
think
different types. He's got
3 different-
untreated, yeah, he's got 3 different kinds, so 3 prices, I'll just pass them down.
You could just
I'll
say
just
the
do it.
prices.
Okay. All right, so the first one's all weather, heavy duty, pressure treated, galvanized frame, portable, $6,946. All weather, untreated pine, portable, galvanized frame, $6,786. And then the heavy duty redwood satin, redwood stain, galvanized frame, portable, $7,199.
That's for American Recreational Products?
That's from
Yeah.
American Recreational Products. This is from Rose Mountain Woodworks. The address. Christian Colaro. 845 area code, so, but he didn't put his address on here. I'll have to call him. But his is $4,750, and there's no address.
Does he describe what it's made out of?
8-foot pressure treated, finished with exterior cabinet timber oil.
Okay.
No charge for delivery. This one is from NV, V as in Victory, B Playgrounds, from Greenfield, Indiana. This has got the My T-Code expanded metal portable frame picnic table, advantage coating, $8,361. And the last one.
But those were metal tables?
Metal portable frame.
Is it-
T-Coat expanded metal portable frame. Get it all?
So that means it's all metal, or if the
Yeah.
frame's metal and
Means
it's
it's all
got
in
wood
pieces, we gotta
slats?
put it together when it gets here too.
IKEA.
And the shipping is of $1,200 on that. That's $6,500 plus shipping and tax, total weight, 80, so the total was $8361.36. And this one is.
Oh, that's with the shipping, okay.
What's with the shipping? I assume all those are with the shipping. And the last one is from Pilot Rock and Cherokee, Iowa. $8,893.40 for no shipping, so they did drop shipping. Table, recycled plastic, 8-foot round arch front with 2x6 planks. 2 foot by 6 foot planks. Total $8,893.40. Look up Rose Mountain Woodworks.
It seems like we're getting prices for all different styles, not the same product for each one, so it's really not
Some
a,
have a galvanized, well, again, you have, 3 of them are like professional playground equipment companies, so they got a galvanized tubing, and then they're putting woodwork or some kind
Planking or
of thing on
something.
top of it.
Right.
And Rose Mountain's doing like all wood,
pressure treated,
pressure treated.
right.
And it's 2,000 cheaper,
Yeah.
and it's local.
Well, does that include the shipping, the Rose Mountain Woodworks?
Yeah, free
No
shipping.
charge for shipping. No
So
charge.
pressure treated will last for what, 20 years, 25 years?
Should,
So to me, that sounds like a good deal.
10 years,
He's a local guy?
15 years.
If you keep up with the timber oil, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit longer.
I'm on the page with this.
Yes, he is, he lives in 42.
Well, that's good because we want local people. So to me, that's good. It's the cheapest and
That
it's
was our only
pressure
local
treated.
bid.
What, Joyce?
That was our only local bid.
Yeah?
so, toward the Rose Mountain Woodworks. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, we all second it. We have a third and a fourth.
Make the motion to accept Rose Mountain Woodworks, and I move its adoption.
And I'll second.
And second it. All in favor?
No, it's a resolution, just a roll call.
Yeah. Roll call.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Storms?
Yes?
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution 83-20, resolution establishing Town of Shandaken Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. Whereas on August 17, 2020, the Town of Shandaken was in receipt of a letter from Honorable New York State Governor Andrew M. Cuomo regarding Executive Order 203 of 2020, requiring each local municipality in the state to adopt a policing reform plan by April 1st, 2021. And whereas that plan is to be developed between the collaborative of key stakeholders involved in law enforcement and in the general public from that community. And whereas the development of the Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative, PRRC, is to include public meetings and hearings on any plan to be developed. And whereas the Town of Shandaken PRRC plan must be adopted by the town board and a copy sent to the New York State Division of Budget no later than April 1st, 2021. Therefore, be it now resolved that the Town of Shandaken Town Board hereby establishes the Town of Shandaken Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative, including the following members: Kevin Van Blarkum, Town Board; Chad Story, Town Police Chief; W. James McGrath, Town Police Commission; Wendy Lockwood, Town Court Clerk; Crystal Way, Mount Tremper; Michelle Spark, Mount Tremper; Elizabeth Potter, Phoenicia; Sage Shazad Adil Shah, Phoenicia; Charles Perez, Big Indian; Joshua Brown, Pine Hill; and Manuela Jean Pierre, Pine Hill. Be it further resolved, the PRRC members, following public meetings, are directed to create a draft plan, and following a public hearing held by the town board, create a final plan for the town board adoption to be submitted to the director of the New York State Division of Budget no later than April 1st, 2021, and move its adoption.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Storm?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barton?
Yes.
Supervisor Allen?
Yes. Resolution 8420, resolution hiring firm to assist planning board with secret reviews. Whereas the Town of Shandaken Planning Board currently has several applications for projects which may require detailed environmental reviews under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the planning board has voted to utilize the services of Malone and McBroom, Inc., with offices located at 231 Main Street, Suite 102, New Paltz, New York, 12561, for the purpose of assisting them in the secret process for current and future applicants and their projects. The town supervisor to enter into an addendum contract with Malone and McBroom, Inc., to assist the planning board in secret actions and move its adoption.
Board Member Van Barton?
Yes.
Supervisor Allen?
Yes.
Resolution number 85-20, resolution requesting no campaign signage until after Columbus Day, October 12, 2020. Whereas the town of Shandaken recognizes the importance of preserving its natural beauty and viewscapes throughout the town, and whereas Columbus Day weekend is recognized as a highly desirable time for visitors to travel our area and enjoy the pristine beauty of Shandaken, therefore, the town board of Shandaken requests that campaign signs for the general election, regardless of party affiliation or contest, not be displayed until after Columbus Day, Monday, October 12, 2020. I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Storm?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barton?
Yes.
Supervisor Allen?
Yes. With that, go to open public comments. Vivian, yes.
Ellen, should I use this? Okay. Hi, I know that Joyce had mentioned the census, and I want to elaborate on why it's important to everybody in Ulster County, especially in our town of Shandaken. The census is the only way that the government determines the actual population. So if we do not answer the census, we're not counted as population. And the population, if it goes down, we stand to lose vital services, and we stand to lose our representation in the government. So the consequences of people not responding to the census are really in our pocketbook. So the things that we stand to lose money on is education, hospitals, fire departments, parks, rail trails, playgrounds, libraries, highways, transit, and water and sewer systems, as well as the other thing is people may not realize it's residents rather than citizens. If you're not a citizen, we still want you to be counted. That's very important. It's not shared, this information by law cannot be shared with other government agencies, cannot be used for determination of government benefits or immigration purposes. So that's the things that I wanted to, elaborate on what Joyce said. The deadline is September 30th. There has not been any extension that I know of to date, so they're going on the assumption that everybody has to have the information in by September 30th. My2020census.gov is the website. You can fill out a very short form, just a few questions, or call 844-330-2020. So just want to make sure everybody gets this message, pass it along to all your neighbors, your friends, get those information in so we can be counted. Okay?
I told
Thank you.
Kathy Nolan called today, and I told her, please put a sign by our billboard.
I put one there, yeah.
Yeah.
On the way here, I put one there. I do have about 6 signs left. The lawn signs that you've been seeing here and there, those blue and white ones. If anybody knows of a good place, I have them in my car. So just want to let you know they're still available. Okay, and thanks to Eric for putting the sign up by the hardware store.
Those are the tables that got from Rose Mountain, the wood. Which is what we had
Okay,
before.
good.
Any other open public comments? Mr. Perez, yes.
I don't know if everybody's aware, but New York State DEC has recently released a draft unit management plan for the Shandaken Wild Forest, which includes the portion of Bel Air Mountain on the east side, the ridge. They have slated for mountain biking, hiking, possibly cross-country skiing. The reason I'm bringing it up here is to make everybody aware that the public comment period is going to end towards the end of the month. I don't have the exact day, but I'm asking the town board if they would review it and make comments on behalf of the town to include better coordination between the DEC and the ORTA operation at Bel Air, so that that area is used to the utmost and open to the people that might utilize it for, regardless of what their activity might be, mountain biking, skiing, hiking. It's a benefit that is underutilized at this time, and I think that the town's involvement might be beneficial for inclusion, like I said, with going forward for the a cooperative between the DEC and the operators at WARDA. Right now, I think there might be a little bit of left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, but I think with the town's involvement, they might be able to make a better relationship.
Have they presented it to us or anything? I don't.
DEC sent an email out.
I have never seen anything.
I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, it was one of their mass emails that they send out. So, it was like 2 weeks ago.
With the entire plan?
It's really just an update for, specifically for the, it's actually not just for Shandaken Wild Forest. Shandaken Wild Forest, I think Halkett, I know the forget the name of it down, it's a couple of places, just the big discussion in it is really about expansion of the hiking, mountain biking and cross-country skiing trails adjacent to Bel Air on that parcel, and really about the access points.
So that parcel being exactly like where would we know where that was?
So you know where Mattress Barn is? Up behind the Mattress Barn, that whole
Oh,
hillside.
Mattress Barn, I thought you said Mattress Barn. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, up on that whole side opposite Rochester Hollow. and
Yes, I
stuff.
know,
It's
yeah.
that whole mountainside is all, I hate to say littered, but it's covered in several logging trails
Right.
that are now defunct. But there's also trail network that's planned, and it interconnects oddly enough with the Lost Clove Trailhead, which isn't really the best place to start or park a lot of people. So what Chuck's getting at is that
It's kind of not.
there's a conversation that needs to
well-designed.
take place that when Bel Air's not in usage of the lake, we don't know why they wouldn't allow for access from the lake parking lot, just to allow people to get access from there to get right up on those trails. It's a way that they could
And I
utilize
think
that.
the town board is in the best position to move that forward.
So how do we do that then? I
We
mean,
just need to write,
And make a recommendation.
yeah. Yeah, I'll write a letter.
Yeah, but if it's at the end of this month,
Yeah, I can write a letter.
you'll write a letter to
I'll
them.
just write a
And
letter.
pass it around to us.
Yeah,
and we'll-
pass it around, everybody okay?
Yep.
It's really, it's just a recommendation where it goes from there. It's-
Yeah,
And we could copy it and sign it as councilman.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay? Any other open public comments? If there's none, I'll entertain a motion to close the regular board meeting temporarily and open an executive session for the town board to discuss personnel.
I make that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We will come back with any decision made.
Going downstairs?
You know what, we can probably just stay here if anybody wants to step out.
You gotta turn the camera on.
Yeah, we gotta turn-
because the meeting is like ended, hasn't it almost? We're done.
With that, I'll entertain a motion that we close the executive session and return to the regular town board meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
With that, there was no decision made, it was just a clarification. With that, we will adjourn the meeting tonight in memory of Virgil Stubby Curtis Jr. and Jeffrey Jacobson. A motion?
I'll make the motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I hear your version of everything. Your mom's? She was funny.
It's a nightmare.
Oh, are you kidding me? I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you were inside.
You got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, go room by room.
Oh, yeah. Rob, you know what your supervisor reports?
How are you? Yeah, I got Rob. All right. Onward and upward.
Early afternoon to